right, good morning. Hold on, we got to write something. Golden zone. We got it. We finally got it. As we've been waiting for. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And the even more beautiful thing is I was able to catch the pullback on the future side. I think there is definitely an advantage to have that futures account funded. Because, the unfortunate truth and the truth of the matter is that a lot of times these pullbacks happen overnight. Something that sucks for options, but it is not a bad thing to have, the futures account funded. And so definitely a pro of being able to trade that Asian session, overnight session, for sure. I mean, it is what it is. So that definitely was a nice overnight trade to the downside. Caught a pretty decent trade. One of my biggest futures trades, actually. Was able to catch almost 300 points on the NASDAQ. Basically just went to bed with a stop loss over yesterday's lows and just said, you know what? I'm holding this. Caught it really nice. This week, since I opened this account, we're up $15,000. So basically I threw $20K into my futures account. I said, you know what, man? I want to have this account funded. I want this to be available to me when I think there's opportunity. I don't want to wish I had money in a futures account. I threw $20K in and we're up 15. So we basically doubled the account in 2 days. So that's really nice. Really nice there. So I'm just going to keep that money there, I'm not, the Top Step account, it's like, it's the barrier that I have on the Top Step account is so small that I'm scared to trade. That's a downfall that I have seen. So I can't let the account go back to $0. So basically how the Top Step account, once you make money, you have to keep the account balance above zero. And I'm at like $1,000 in profit. So I'm at such a small buffer before it basically shuts down that I'm like, what do I even do with this? I can't even take any type of real size on a trade with that small of a buffer. So I was like, you know what? I'll keep that open. I'll maybe take some MNQ, MES, like super small trades there, but I need to be able to have some freedom, man. That was one of my concerns coming into that, and it's starting to happen. I have not been able to take size or trades with buffer because of the fear of having the account shut down. But, that's just such an unnatural, it's just such an unnatural thing. Like, I'm okay going back in the negative with my own money, but with that, I can't. And it would just cancel the whole account. So very unnatural type of limitation, so to say. So I'm just going to fund it. I mean, what I've done my whole life, I'm just funded it with my own money, man. I don't just, this is my own money in this account. So yeah, I mean, it's pros. Definitely saw some pros though. And I'm still going to play with it. I definitely like it. Like, if I do blow up that Top Step account, it was only a couple $100. So, whatever. But definitely some limitations that, at least for me, as someone that is okay with drawdown, you pretty much can't have major drawdown in a prop firm account, which is understandable. They're trying to make you a very disciplined trader. But sometimes, to be honest, man, I'm going to be honest with you, and a lot of you traders out there know this. The truth of the matter is sometimes you have to have some drawdown and some, maybe you go against your discipline a little bit for something to really be a nice catch. So that's at least what I've, it's just the truth. The truth. You're going to, people, oh, yeah, you're not a good trader. You let things go against you a little bit. You did that, this, that. It's the truth. All right. It's like you have to be so perfect, and it makes it a little bit difficult. So it is what it is. That's just, there's pros and cons. But yeah, that's a really nice downside. Anyways, I didn't really plan on talking about this to start the live stream, but really nice downside overnight. We got our golden zone pullback. We've been sitting here for 2 weeks waiting for this exact SPY pullback. We've been talking about this. Can we get our pullback to the 674? And you can see right here, we got our 674. There it is, right? We've been talking about it's only a matter of time. It will happen. It's going to happen. I don't know when it will happen, but it will. And there it is, right? There you go. You got it. As expected. Now, right, the question is, do you just immediately long this? And my answer to that question is no. There is something you need to see to now want to long this. And there is a discrepancy on the NASDAQ that we will get into today that makes me a little bit cautious before I just go out and long this today. So the pullback is there. We finally got it. It has happened. But there are some more things to be seen here before you can just go out and start smacking down some longs and hoping that it bounces, even though this is definitely a bounce spot, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about that today. Let's start on the ES futures. Before we do that, let's get a quick reminder on the earnings. We do have big earnings this week, so let's get a quick reminder on that. You guys can see right here, if this will load. Here we go. So earnings, we had Palantir last night. Not a good reaction to that. We'll see. It's coming down into a big demand level, but I do believe that is instilling a little bit of right? That's really the word for it. It's I don't know, a little bit of maybe, maybe there's a little bit of a weakness here, right? It's a little uncertainty. So that's, I think, why I honestly think the market pulled back last night because of Palantir. I think that's the main driver for our pullback overnight was because of Palantir. Palantir got weak later in the session, basically like around 8 o'clock Eastern, started to get weak really around like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And once that started to fade, you started to see the market get pretty weak. I think this is a main driver of the NASDAQ ES weakness last night, overnight. And we'll have to see what the outcome of that is, right, moving forward. So this morning we have Uber, Shopify, Spotify. How did those report? Let's see real quick. Uber, a little bit of downside. Shopify, basically flat. Spot is up, I believe. So Spotify always goes up. Spotify, great company. Love it. But it is down quite a bit since its highs. But anyways, AMD tonight, SMCI tonight, big for the semiconductors. I mean, this is a big event here. AMD tonight, big event. You have Upstart. You have McDonald's tomorrow morning. You have Robinhood, APP, Dutch Bros, Qualcomm, ARM, Snapchat tomorrow. These are, again, big for the semiconductors. So we still got some stuff out there to be aware of. We still got some, cautionary things to be paying attention to. Economic calendar. Do we have anything on the economic today? I believe we have a few things peppered in there. Let me pull it up real quick. Economic calendar today, not much. So we're pretty good on the economic today. Tomorrow, ADP 8:15, ISM services 10 o'clock. The market did nothing on the 10 o'clock ISM yesterday. I don't expect it to do much through all of this, to be honest. Maybe Friday's events. Besides that, I really don't expect this to be the driver of anything. I think it's all about the earnings, the AMD, the Qualcomm, the SMCI, the ARM, the semiconductors. I think semiconductors will decide your next move on the market. And we'll talk about that SMCI today. I'm sorry, the SMH today. All right. With that said, all that out of the way, let's jump into the futures. So, ES, we've been waiting on our golden zone. It was between 67.90 and 68.12. It was between these highs and these highs here. We've had this on our charts for about 2 weeks now. Since basically Monday, Tuesday of last week, basically a week, we have had this zone on our charts. There you go. We are back into it. Now, of course, as it happens every time, naturally, the great downside trade under the Friday high at 68.40 happens in the overnight session, which sort of sucks, right? Unless you swung puts, catchable on the future side. The 68.41 right here, the Friday high that we've been looking for a break and retest rejection below for downside into the golden zone, happened in the overnight session. And it's basically right here. Once you broke that 68.40 here, you can see this massive flush. And once that, basically the floodgates opened and you went straight to the downside. So pretty nice there. The trade that I took last night, which actually correlates to the ES as well, was a break and retest under the intraday lows. I took that in the overnight session. I will show that on the NASDAQ later when we get into it. But you can see, naturally, that downside comes in the overnight session. Now we are back into the daily 20, back into the demand zone, the golden zone demand zone there. Here is the question mark today, okay? Here is the number one question mark that you need to be paying attention to. Do we reclaim these lows? That is all you should be paying attention to. There is nothing else that is important than that. That is the most important question to ask yourself today. Are we below or are we above these triple bottom lows from FOMC? Actually, that's not FOMC. The day after FOMC, Friday of last week, and yesterday. It is the exact triple bottom low right there. We need to get above that. If you want to look for the long to develop off the golden zone, you need to get back above 68.40, 68.50. That is a definite. There is no questions asked on that read. I have not a single doubt in my mind that that is exactly what you're going to need to see to even consider this long. So I would not long off of this zone. I would understand that this could bounce, and I would say there's one thing I need left. I need us to bounce and reclaim 68.40, 68.50. That's it. Very easily, right? Very easily understood. If we get that, I would assume that there would be a nice long on a reclaim of these triple bottom lows back into 6,900. And at that point, I would assume you're going to continue if you actually establish that setup. So that is what I would be looking for today. 68.40, 68.50, the triple bottom lows from Thursday, Friday, and Monday of this week. You need to get above them. Without that, this could become a lower high, and this could start a downside move, right? That is something you need to be paying attention to. You do not just mindlessly long this level. If you long this level and the market does this and then this, that is exactly what it should have done, right? So that is very understandable. You need to get above 68.40, 68.50. It's very clear, okay? All right. And if you don't do that and you go lower and you break the daily 20, right, then you are coming down right here, 67.50. Below that, you're coming down to the daily 50 SMA at 6,700, right? Those are your deeper levels. The golden zone would be the best place to bounce. That doesn't mean it must bounce, right? There is no such thing as a level must bouncing. We wanted to see this pullback. That is good. We've seen the reaction off of the daily 20. That is good. We have one job left before we can be confident that this market does retrace back to the upside, and that is a reclaim back above the Friday highs here and back above the triple bottom lows from last week, right there on a reclaim ripper. You'd have to see the reclaim ripper. Without the reclaim ripper, this is not a long. Okay? All right. That is very clear game plan. Now it's up to you to follow it. That's the key now, following the game plan. So the reason that I am cautious of longing that zone and that I want the reclaim on the ES is because of this right here. This is why. This is the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ may need more downside. I actually think there's a very high probability that it will need more downside. Why do I say that? Well, take a look at this right here. Just look at it in silence for 10 seconds. And press the like button as I stay silent. Okay, that is very clear. You are right inside of the low volume void that we've talked about on this live stream all of the last 7 trading days. We have talked about this low volume void, and if you break into it, you are most likely going to navigate through it quickly. So you have started to see that. Look at the void below. You have a price action mountain, you have a valley, and you have the mountain, right? This is a valley between 2 big mountains right here. And that is, in my opinion, not going to hold the market up. There is really no reason in my mind that you would hold this up through this low volume. Where do I think you need to come down to? Right here. Our golden zone. Our 25,400, our previous double top highs, and our daily 20 SMA. I believe the NASDAQ needs to come down to that level. So, really, I am more interested in the downside move on the NASDAQ today if we can see some more price action come into the downside. If I zoom in, you can see that the NASDAQ futures has started to, at least not fully yet, but has started to turn these previous lows, this area right here. If that stays as a rejection point today, I would assume you break below 25.7 and you navigate quickly to the Friday highs at 25,570. And if you break below that, then you're right here at the 25.4. Right? That, I think, is a very possible move, and probably the most probable move, if I was to say. So, once again, if the NASDAQ futures cannot reclaim 25,853, 25,943, if we turn this into a rejection point today, and if we fail back under the 25,700, I would assume gap fill to 25,570, and at that point, the price action is probably strong enough to where you're going to see that daily 20 SMA pullback to the 25,400. Right? That is really what I'm watching for today. We will see if we can get that clarity. There is a level on the QQQ that I would really like to see break, and I will share that with you in just a moment. Now, the only way I would look to long this market after this pullback is if we reclaim back above 25,943. If we reclaim back above this low from Friday, if we can get one of these right here and reclaim that level, that would be the long that I would look for. So, very patient to wait to see if that happens. Now, yesterday, I had some questions about where I took my short on the NASDAQ. It was right here. This was my short on NQ yesterday. It was a break and retest of the previous low a day. So right here, we saw that the NASDAQ broke below the low a day, right around this 26,200 in the overnight session. See this? Pretty much just trading, again, with the futures contracts, everything I teach, right, which is directly applicable to the futures trading. So what did I see? I saw a low a day at 26,020 on the NASDAQ. I saw that we flushed below that overnight, right? So what did I naturally wait for? I waited to see if we could bounce up and fail that level, right? I saw failure here. I took this short. I got stopped out here. Then I saw after I got stopped out, it went back below it and started to reject again. So I re-entered right here, and I was able to catch the full move. That is simply a break and retest rejection of the intraday low. I mean, it is pretty much spot on perfection. Look at that. Break and retest, bear flag, everything we talk about. Bam, break, retest, bear flag, downside. Beautiful. Beautiful. Nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary, just a simple break and retest, bear flag, the same thing I've been looking for the last 15 years of my life, right? I mean, it happens over and over again. So that was gorgeous. Yeah, 26,020. My stop loss was above it. I entered it here. I got a nice profit here. Then I got stopped out. and then I re-entered it after I saw it fail back under and reject. I think I can just show you right here. Look. So, entered, exited, entered. I think I got stopped. Did I get stopped on the NQ? Maybe I got stopped on the, but I thought I got stopped out here. I guess I didn't. Something, I think I might have got stopped out or something around here. Oh, it was on the MNQ. That's what it was. Right here. Will it pull up? Here it is. Okay, there you go. So I tried it on the MNQ after my original entry point, and I was like, hey, I got a nice profit. Let me go to MNQ to be a little bit, let me stop being a degenerate. So I went MNQ, got stopped out right there, right? You can see that stop out. And then I was like, you know what? Look at this. It just failed back under it. So I went short again, and you can see that's where I was able to ride it pretty much to this morning. And it looks like we're starting to fall right now. So really nice break and retest of the previous day low, of the low a day. Spot on, right? Nothing different. Same thing we look for all the time. Anyways, NASDAQ futures, if we can break this 25.7 today, I think that Friday high is very much in focus. I would be watching it and paying attention to it. QQQ. Here we go. Same thing on the QQQ right here. See this zone right here? 627.74, 628 area. Here's your lows. Here's your lows. Look at the rejection that's coming in. Bam, 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 right? Rejections coming in under that low from Thursday of last week. You can see we are failing below that 626, 627 zone. I'm going to be watching this zone right here, starting to get downside. If the QQQ fails, I would say 622. You should go lower, but I'm going to give it down to 621, which is what you can do here on the NASDAQ futures to be careful. You can put a level down under this low from the overnight session, and you can say, okay, I'm going to be cautious of shorting anywhere between 645 and 700. If you break 645, you likely get that move to the downside. On the QQQ, I would assume if you break below this low right here, which is 622, that you should get that downside move. Under 621 would be even more convincing, and you would get a move to your 618.40. Under 618.40, you go to your golden zone, which is the 614 and the double top highs right here, and the golden zone that we've been waiting on at the daily 20 SMA, which I believe is very possible for us to see. The only way that we do not pull back further on this market is if you reclaim these lows, this area. If you get a big, strong push and a hold above this area, that's the only way. On the ES, once again, that is 68.50, 68.40. That's the only way. You will need to be cautious today of one thing, okay? Listen up. There is one thing that you need to be looking out for and understanding where the trap is. The trap today is at the daily 20 SMA on the ES. This is where the trap is, okay? There is a chance that the NASDAQ futures is flowing to the downside as the ES is flowing to the downside into the daily 20 SMA. You will need to be cautious of that daily 20 SMA holding on the ES and creating a bounce on the QQQ as well. You need to be aware of that. That is it is not a trap if you could see it. Okay, that's what I always say. Everyone says trap, trap, trap. That is not a trap if you can see it. Now, it is a trap for people that aren't watching it, but hopefully you guys that watch the morning live streams will be prepared for it. If we bounce or if we drop into the daily 20 today, you need to be careful of any short-term downside positions you are in. You could definitely see another exuberant bounce off that level, right? That would sort of just cook any type of zero DTE puts. So please be careful right here at the 67.85 and the daily 20 SMA on the ES. That is definitely a spot that you can get one of those FU candles straight back to the upside, and you would be like, what the hell just happened, right? That is something to pay attention to. All right, let's move on. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. 2,700 people. Hey, nice. We got 2,700 people here today. 28. Wow, we're growing a little bit, huh? All right. Appreciate that, folks. Thank you for joining. We're growing a little bit. We got a little bit of a breakout in the trend. Typically, we're at like 24, 25 maybe. Looks like we picked up like 300 people. So appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Sonia, member for 2 months. Thank you, Sonia. Come on Come on now. Free valuable education if the like. Appreciate that, Sonya. All right. SMH. What have we been talking about? This right here, right? This low volume void on the SMH. We have Qualcomm, AMD, SMCI, ARM to report. Cautious on that. Did we not talk about the SPY? Did I miss the SPY? I did miss the SPY, didn't I? Yeah, let me go into the SPY. Okay, let me go speed around through the SPY here. Sorry about that, guys. So, SPY, I mean, it couldn't get more sexy. Literally, it could not be more sexy. It is the exact spot. We've had this on our charts for weeks. 674, previous all-time high. This is the sexy spot. You can see we moved right into it. I mean, it's just perfect. However, you can't just nail along here. You can't. Because you could get this. Right? One of these, and bam. So, you need to reclaim 680 in my book. Over 680, reclaim Ripper. That's the only long. There's no other long here. You need to, once the market starts to move lower, right, and breaks levels, right? So let's say you got demand. The market goes bam, down, right? What needs to happen to refuel the move? You need to get reclaims of those previous rejection points, right? Reclaims of those previous rejection points. That's the only way to actually have a structured trade entry to the upside. It is not just, hey, I think you're going to bounce here, I'm going to long the lows. It is, hey, I like this long off the lows, but let me get a reclaim, right? That's your confirmation. So your confirmation will make you miss out on some of the opportunity, but it will make you not get smoked on a potential lower high rejection, right? So you need to see that reclaim over this low, in my opinion, of yesterday at 680. If you get that, then you have your confirmation back to the upside. Yes, you will miss out on this long if it's exactly off this low, but at least you will not be exposed to the failure at that level, right? All right. SMH under 360.50, I think, continues lower today. You can actually start to see it already. This could be a really nice short watch today, my friends. Keep an eye on SMH. Kalra, appreciate that. Mark, appreciate that. What's up, guys? Right here, 360.50, right? Bam, 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 360.50. If you reject 360.50, then I would be cautious of the downside, okay? Right here. That is a rejection play on the SMH here, here, and here. If you fail and stay under that, I would assume you navigate through this low volume void right here to 353, and under that, back down to 350, right? So this is a very clean rejection here on the SMH today. That is a perfect failure underneath Friday's lows. Very nice look there. Okay. All right. Gold futures right here. Pretty much just doing a break and retest rejection still of this structure. Yeah, I mean, pretty damn clear. Previous highs, previous lows, into highs. This is a really nice looking flag. Really hoping to see this break down at some point here. Very clear. This would be such a structured and textbook trade. Structure lows, into structure highs, a little bit of a bear flag. Can we get that slip? I think it's only a matter of time, in my opinion. So, waiting to see if that can happen. I think the best thing to do here is just stay in a very small gold short and have wide stops, right? You don't want to be wicked out because of some stupid volatility inside of this range. You need to have small size, wide stops, right? Because you know gold can move. So, you know, if you can put a nice, you know, from this point, you'd probably have to have a 50-point stop, to be honest. And you would be looking for a pretty much 100-point downside move here. So that's a 2-to-1 right now. It's a very possible trade. It's obviously a big stop loss, but you need to have a big stop loss. That's how people get messed up trading gold, right? You can't put a tight stop on a volatile market. That's how you just get thrown around and ripped to pieces. Can't do it. Okay. Let's get into some equities. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Tesla, going to wake up with a loss on this one, unfortunately. Did cover pretty much the entire equity position with that NASDAQ short overnight. So that was really a big reason why I had confidence for the short. I said, you know what? If the market falls lower today, overnight, then I am going to obviously lose on my Tesla position. And so let me at least hedge that with some shorts on the NASDAQ futures. That's exactly what I did, and it paid off very nicely. And, of course, I'll be looking at I don't know, how much did I close? I have about 15,000 in Tesla calls. So yesterday I locked up $2,100 in profit. I'll probably open to this down like $5,000, maybe a little bit more. So I'll be down today on Tesla, unfortunately. But I am not upset about this trade in the slightest. It was a very nice looking setup. It was perfectly holding that weekly low. Really nice flagging move. Fortunate that I got caught in the downside move on the NASDAQ futures, but it is what it is. That's called taking a shot, and I was wrong. So going to be ending up with a loss here on Tesla today. We'll see if I can turn it around. But a nice day hedging that, so I'm happy about that. Anyways, Tesla failing this high, our supply high on the weekly. You can see right here, this is probably not a good rejection for Tesla. I'm going to be honest with you. You can see right here, you have a weekly high here and a weekly high here, and we failed right at those double top weekly highs. We were attempting to hold one of them, which is just so funny because it was holding one and rejecting the other, right? Look at this. The whole day, it was holding one and rejecting the other. Right, this is exactly the two weekly highs right here, 465.33 to 470.75. Those are the exact weekly highs, both of them, and it was just basically ping-ponging between those two levels yesterday, which was just sort of funny. And you know what? I said, hey, if it's holding that low, let me hold something, right? Let me have it. I'll sit comfortable, and unfortunately, it looks like I've been wrong. So, anyways, I would say Tesla, to me, is not much of a trading opportunity today. I don't like it back within this zone. It's not that interesting to me. Underneath 440 is where I would be interested on Tesla because I don't want to short back into this 450 and daily 20. This could definitely hold, right? This could be a little bit of a panic overnight move on Tesla, and this could absolutely hold. I would be careful shorting into 440, 450. Underneath 440, 450, that is 100% a short for me. That is a really nice looking short in my book right there. If we can break 440, 450 today, I think you see the devil in Tesla's eye, right? That is a failure back under these highs. That is a failure under this low. That is a failure under the daily 20. That, in my book, would go right lower to 414.50 again and the 50 SMA. So under 440, I would definitely look to short Tesla today. NVIDIA, I'm very interested in the short on NVIDIA today. We've been talking about this short, and here we go, right? Today might be the day we get paid. Let's pay attention to NVIDIA shorts today. Look at this right here. Under 201. Look at the volume. Dies off until 195. That has been our target. You can see we went straight up here, and you guys know, we talk about this all the time. Straight up, straight down. No good deed goes unpunished. This was your good deed on NVIDIA. Everyone was having a ball, right? Going straight up on Tuesday of last week. What is that going to mean? That means you are going to go straight down. It will happen. No good deed goes unpunished. Remember that. No straight up move does not get matched with a straight down move. Markets cannot go straight up. They will always retrace. So, under 201, I would look for this. I'm definitely intrigued. Under 201 into 195, under 195 into the daily 20. Give me that pullback on NVIDIA, the move that it should do. Does that mean it's bearish? Hell no, it's not bearish. That's the furthest thing from bearish. It's the best pullback you could possibly ask for to then long this play, right? Pull back to this 190 double top high, pull back to the daily 20. That is such a beautiful long. So can we trade the downside and then flip back to the upside? That's what I would be looking for here. Underneath 201. That's my watch. That's actually one of my stars of the day. AMD, also another star of the day. Look at this. We've been waiting for this. Guys, today's the day, okay? We don't know for sure, but we're starting to see it. If you come to this live stream, we have been planning these trades for a week. Today is the day. It is starting to show. This is when the money is made, okay? There's moments, there's pockets of opportunity where money can be made. We stayed away from this channel. We stayed away from the NTZ. We saved our equity inside that, no trade zone on the market, and you are starting to get the move. So it's time to react. right? And if you're prepared, I hope that you are. There is definitely some juice out there today. There should be a very nice trading day, in my opinion. So underneath 249 right here, underneath that level, there is nothing on AMD right here. Look at this. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. 249. Under that, you went straight up. Zero volume. You would go vertically lower, in my opinion, to 244. This is absolutely a watch today. I hope and pray that this does not happen in the pre-market, which it looks like it's about to. I hope and pray that this does not happen in the pre-market. Let's hope that it doesn't. Okay? That's definitely another big watch today, in my opinion. TSM, nothing for me. Qualcomm, probably going to be a loser for me. Had a nice profit on Qualcomm, and then looks like I'm going to give some back. 180 failed. 176 got a hold. Not much for me on that one today. MU, I would say MU under this 220 could get interesting right here. Underneath 220 on MU could get interesting to this 214 and then back to this 210. MU has made a pretty obnoxious move, if I have to say so myself. I really don't think MU is this strong of a move. Like, this is a little bit obnoxious for MU. I'm not going to lie. MU has never moved like this. In my 10 years of watching stocks, I have never seen MU move like this. So, yes, it's a good stock. Yes, it's been, much stronger, and it's been, hot lately. But I have never in my life seen MU move like this. And this is just... Like, let's zoom out here on MU for a second. Let's come back to reality here. Yeah, this is ridiculous, right? I mean, this is almost curling to the left. It is so close to straight up that it has almost started to do this, which would be a crazy day if we started to see that happen. So, yeah, this is definitely interesting. I really think that the next... And I hate to say this because I don't like being bearish, but the opportunity is absolutely to see where the cracks are right now in some of these names. It's not happening yet. Today's a little exciting because you're starting to see something, which is actually fueling some action, right? Like injecting some action into the market, which is just awesome. No, I mean, MU's a great company. I'm not, guys, when I say that this is crazy, that does not mean, I think we need to understand the difference between a good company and a move like this. Okay, guys, you have to be able to depict the difference when people talk about that or when you are mentally thinking about this. Bullish does not mean, being a good company does not mean that you can't pull back and retrace and then make new highs, right? As a stock should do, okay? Guys, you have to remember this. I'm like, seriously, this is one of the biggest killers. A stock could be the best stock in the world, making trillions of dollars. What will it do? It will pull back at times, and it will retrace, and it'll go up again. It will retrace, and it'll go up again. That's how it moves. No stock just goes like this, right? And so MU has gone pretty much straight up on the weekly chart. There will be a retracement. I'm not saying that it will happen now, but I just want to make sure we are realistic and we are not the people caught on the wrong side, right? When this stuff starts to pull back. It will happen. Trust me. It happens on every cycle, okay? So I just want to make sure we're, if you're in my circle, if you're in my circle, to me, the worst thing for a trader to be is to be irrationally on one side, okay? Irrationally bullish or bearish. There is going to become a point where the irrational bullish person is going to get smacked. And that's the type of thing I want to defend myself against at all costs. I want to be bullish when it's right to be bullish. I want to be bearish when it's right to look for downside. I don't want to get blinded by the light, right? So this is starting to become a weekly chart that feels like there is going to be some, right? There's definitely some reason to be cautious, okay? That's all I'm saying. Anyways, if MU does move lower under 220, I would be looking for that downside to continue down to that 214. If MU holds this 220 and the market bounces, then you're right back to new highs, and that is very possible, right? If the ES bounces, if the NASDAQ bounces today, and the SMH report and the semis report strong, and the thing just rips, then welcome back to all-time highs on MU off of a pullback long at 220, right? The market can stay irrational. We know that. Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. That's That's a very key point. But we also don't want to be caught with our pants down, right? That's really what I'm trying to get at. Don't want to get caught with your pants down. No one likes to get caught with their pants down. So, anyways, Apple, the rejection of that 273 was really nice yesterday. That was one of our top watches. Downside here into 264, I think, is very possible. I would love this pullback at 260. This would be a great daily 20 SMA pullback on Apple. That's something I will be watching. Google is a top star watch for me today. Oh, my God. Don't do it. Stop, please. Google, under 277.50, I think you are going to go straight down to 272 right here. This, to me, would be a beautiful trade idea today. This is probably top watch of the day, like top number one. This is top watch of the day for me right here. Google under 277.50, under this Friday low, should quickly drop into these highs here at 272. Does that mean Google's still a bullish company? Yes. Just because you're looking for downside on a stock does not mean it is a bearish company. Where is Google going to pull back to? Where is Google going to pull back to? Google will pull back to these highs at 258. This is two straight up with no volume. You will pull back to the high volume retest at 258. That is just it is a inevitability. So, going to be watching to see if we reject this 277.50 into that 272. If we break 272 into the 267, if we break under the 267, that's when you get your 258, right? So from 267 to 258, look at this right here. You will get that very nice aggressive move at some point. I will be paying attention to that. I would be watching to see what happens at Google under Friday lows today. If it bounces off that, it's not ready for it, all right? It doesn't have to happen today. We know that very true because, the market's been sideways for a week. It could just go sideways for another week, all right? But at some point, we're going to look for that. Meta coming down into a major weekly low. I would be watching to see what Meta does here. This is a major point for Meta, 621, 633. Major point. Netflix also coming down to a weekly retest. You can see right here. Look at this weekly high right here. Major weekly retest on Netflix, 1065. Something I will be watching there. Palantir pulling back to a huge retest level here. Huge. You really want to see Palantir hold this, right? Look at this retest level on Palantir. You have pulled back right to the retest at 185, as it should. Back to the quadruple whatever highs these are. I mean, it rejected this like 10 times, right? Multiple rejections here, pulling back right into that level. You'd really like to see that 185 hold strong today. If you fail under 185 in the daily 20, you would definitely have the possibility of trading back to this channel low right here at 172. 170, 172. You really want to see Palantir hold that 185 today. If you fail below that, it could continue its earnings weakness. Oklo, what a sell on this stock. I think we called a really good top on Oklo, guys. And I'm not saying that because I don't think it can't come back, but I think we ditched Oklo at possibly the best time possible. Yeah, I mean, the reality of no revenue is starting to hit this company, and we've been talking about that since our sell up here at like 160. So, yeah, this is getting a little bit beat down, man. I am not that confident that this is going to see a legitimate bounce here. You really are looking at, I personally think you're looking at Oklo back to 85 right here. I personally think that's where you're headed. This is a huge head and shoulder here. Look at this daily chart. This is a massive head and shoulder on Oklo. If you break this little neckline, 110 level here, you are going to see 85 in a split second. So, Yeah, I think you if you're a big Akko shareholder, I would be cautious here. This looks a little bit heavy, and the price action on the intraday has looked miserable. There has been no buying. So this looks a little bit ugly to me. Watch 110. If you break 110, that could get pretty ugly, man. And congratulations to you guys in the chat. I saw a lot of you guys in the chat fade 130 yesterday, which was a beautiful thing to see. Congratulations, guys. Beautiful break and retest of the previous low day. Awesome fade. Awesome fade. And I think possibly more there. I would keep an eye on it. Okay. Hood, 137, 140 area. You can see right here. Has to hold. Top watches of the day. Definitely going to be watching that Palantir pullback to 185. Definitely watching that Google under 277. Definitely watching that NVIDIA under 201. AMD underneath 249. Those are my big watches of the day. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. If you guys could, before you head out, please press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Please be aware that this is the pullback that we have been waiting on. We have been paying attention to this, and we're finally getting it. This will result in a long opportunity at some point. This is exactly what you want to see to get long once again. Remember that. But we need to wait for the right time. You cannot go straight up. You cannot gap up 2 days in a row on the SPY. You cannot leave a candle that looks like this on the SPY. This is not natural, right? And here is the pullback that we all expected. So it's time to lock in, and it's time to pay attention because you are getting exactly what we anticipated. This is good. This is exactly what you want. This is exactly the price action that you need to find good trading opportunities. You would rather this happen than you stay sideways for 4 trading days, right? So this is a good pullback. Let's pay attention to our levels. Let's see if we reclaim for upside. Let's see if we fail below for downside. This should be a good, interesting opportunity today. I would be focused up. This looks like a good day. So, you didn't see my chart. I meant this daily candle. This is the daily candle that I was talking about. This is not normal. We talked about this. Look, right here. We all knew this was here, right? This random daily candle. And here you go. Right? We all, I'm sure all of you guys anticipated this to happen. This is not a hard thing to anticipate. You've gotten it. You've got it. So let's now react to see what happens at that demand, and let's see if we get the reclaim ripper. If we get the reclaim, I look back to the upside. If we fail this low and the daily 20, I look to the downside. Right? All right. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.